She thought it was love. Her first night. Her first time. Set up by her best friend. But the man she gave herself to wasn't just a stranger. He was a millionaire CEO. And the betrayal that followed would change her life forever. Stay tuned because you are about to watch a story filled with jealousy, innocent, secrets, and a truth no one saw coming. Hello, family. Welcome to Storytime Virginity. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories. Like and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Your support and engagement encourage me to post more videos. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. Mary had always been quiet. At 22, she was the kind of girl people overlooked at first glance, but not for long. She had a soft beauty, like a calm morning, the kind that stayed with you even after she walked away. She didn't wear much makeup, didn't chase attention, and she didn't try to stand out. She worked as a waitress in a small cafe in town. 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Her life was simple: home, work, sleep, repeat. She lived with Lucy, her best friend and roommate, in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of an old building. They had met at work and quickly decided to live together to save money. It seemed like a good idea at first. But Lucy was nothing like Mary. Where Mary was quiet, Lucy was loud. Where Mary was shy, Lucy was bold. Lucy loved parties, selfies, attention, and being admired. She wore bright lipstick, tight clothes, and always seemed to be in the middle of some drama. Mary didn't mind. She liked staying home, reading books, and watching the world from her window. But Lucy minded. She noticed something Mary never did. Men stared at Mary longer. They smiled at her without her asking. Even without effort, Mary drew attention. It made Lucy jealous, even if she never said it out loud. And jealousy, mixed with bitterness, can turn into something dangerous. One Friday evening, Lucy burst into their apartment with excitement.
"Get dressed."
"We're going out," she said, tossing a short red dress on her bed. Mary looked up from her book. "Where?" "A friend's party. Small, classy. Not wild. You'll like it." "Please come, Mary. You've been locked in here for weeks." Mary hesitated. "I don't know. I'm not good at parties." Lucy rolled her eyes and smiled sweetly. "Just this once. I'll stay by your side. Promise." After a long pause, Mary agreed. She put on a simple white dress, nothing flashy, just soft and clean. Her hair hung loose around her shoulders. Lucy, on the other hand, wore the red dress, heels that clicked loudly on the floor, and heavy makeup that made her eyes look fierce. They took a cab across the city to a tall building that looked expensive. Inside, they rode an elevator up to the 14th floor. The apartment was wide and beautiful, with glass walls that showed the city lights. Slow music played in the background. People stood around with drinks in hand, talking quietly and laughing. It wasn't wild, it was elegant. Mary relaxed. She sat on a white couch near the balcony, sipping a cold drink Lucy had given her. The room buzzed softly, like a dream. That's when she saw him. A tall man with dark hair and a sharp face. He wore a navy blue suit that fit him perfectly. He didn't look like the others. He looked important. Older. Maybe early 30s. But he wasn't smiling or showing off like the rest. Their eyes met. He walked toward her with slow, sure steps.
"Hi," he said.
"Is this seat taken?" Mary shook her head. "No, go ahead." He sat down, his scent clean and expensive. "I'm James." "Mary," she replied, her voice small. They talked. About music. About books. About how she liked her tea, without sugar. He listened closely, asked thoughtful questions, and never once looked at his phone. Mary couldn't believe how easy it was to talk to him. She didn't notice Lucy watching from the hallway, holding a drink, her eyes narrowed. Lucy wasn't smiling anymore. Later, as the party went on, Lucy pulled James aside. "She's special, you know," she said, voice low. "Never been touched. Completely innocent." James raised his eyebrows, curious. "Really?" Lucy smirked.
"Yeah.
"Tonight could be interesting. Just don't be too soft. She needs to grow up." James didn't answer right away. He just stared at her, his face unreadable. Mary, still on the couch, looked around for Lucy, but didn't see her. She felt warm, dizzy, not just from the drink, but from James's smile, his voice, the way he made her feel seen. When James came back, he gently asked, "Can I take you home?" Mary hesitated. Lucy appeared behind her, grinning.
Go.
"It's fine. He's nice. Trust me." And Mary, innocent and unaware, did. She didn't know who James really was. She didn't know Lucy had planned this all along. She didn't know her life was about to change forever. The ride to James's apartment was quiet, but not awkward. Mary sat beside him in the back seat of a sleek black car, her heart beating fast. Outside, the city lights glowed like stars, but inside the car, it was calm. His presence, his quiet strength, made her feel safe, even though she barely knew him. She glanced at him. "Do you always go to parties like that?" He smiled softly. "Not really. I don't enjoy crowds much. But tonight was different." Mary looked down, blushing. "Yeah, different." The car stopped in front of a tall, modern building in the center of the city. Mary looked up at the shining glass windows. The place looked expensive, too clean, too fancy for someone like her. She hesitated. James noticed. "We don't have to go up. I can take you home if you'd rather." She shook her head. "No, I trust you." Those words. So simple. So honest. James said nothing, but a small, unreadable look passed through his eyes. The elevator ride was silent. When they reached the top floor, the doors opened to a wide, beautiful apartment. The lights were warm, the furniture modern, and the air smelled faintly of cinnamon and coffee. It was nothing like the noisy place they had come from. It felt like another world. Mary stepped inside slowly. "You live here?" "Yes," he said, gently closing the door. "It's quiet. I like quiet." She nodded, smiling a little. "Me too." He offered her a cup of tea. She accepted it, holding the warm cup in both hands as she sat on a soft couch near the window. The view outside was breathtaking, skyscrapers stretching far into the night. James sat beside her, not too close. He didn't try to touch her. He didn't rush. He spoke calmly, asked her about her dreams, her job at the cafe, her favorite childhood memory. Mary had never met a man who listened the way he did, with his full attention, with real interest. As they talked, her nervousness melted. Her smile became real, her eyes brighter. Then, without planning it, without any warning, he reached out and gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers brushed her cheek. She looked at him. He looked at her. Then came the kiss.
Soft.
Slow. Careful. And she didn't stop him. They kissed again. And again. The tea grew cold on the table. The city lights watched silently through the glass as two strangers came together like they'd known each other for years. James was gentle. He asked her with his eyes before touching her skin. His voice never rushed her. "Is this okay?" he whispered. And Mary, trembling, said, "Yes." It was her first time. There was no pain, just a deep feeling she had never known. She gave herself to him, not because she felt pressured, but because something about James made her feel safe, wanted, and seen. Later, they lay in the dark. Her head rested on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. His arm was around her, holding her like she was something precious. "I'm glad it was you," she whispered.
He didn't speak.
She thought he had fallen asleep, but his eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. He gently brushed her back with his fingers and said quietly, "You're different."
She smiled, sleepy.
"Is that a bad thing?" "No," he said softly. "Not at all." But even as she drifted to sleep, feeling happy and safe, James lay awake. He was thinking about what Lucy had told him, thinking about how innocent Mary was, thinking about the truth she didn't know yet. The next morning, Mary woke up alone. The side of the bed where he had been was cold. His scent still lingered in the sheets. She sat up, confused, her heart sinking. For a moment, she wondered if she had dreamed everything. Then she saw the note. A single piece of paper on the nightstand. Had to leave early for meeting.
I'll call you. James.
She picked it up, holding it like it might tell her more. But there was no number. No last name. No way to reach him. She got dressed quietly and left the apartment. The cold morning air stung her face. The city didn't care what had happened to her. It moved on like nothing had changed. But everything had. When she reached home, Lucy was waiting on the couch with a cup of coffee and a fake innocent smile. "Well?" Lucy asked, raising her eyebrows. Mary's face turned red. "Well, yeah." Lucy laughed, clapping her hands. "I knew it. I told you he was into you." Mary smiled shyly, but she didn't tell Lucy everything. Some parts felt too special to share. Too personal. She didn't see the quick flicker of victory in Lucy's eyes. She didn't know Lucy had planned it all. She didn't know the man she had given herself to wasn't just a stranger. He was James Carlton, CEO of Carlton Global, one of the youngest millionaires in the country. And Lucy? She had known that from the beginning.
But Mary?
Mary had no idea what she had just walked into. Mary tried to carry on like nothing had happened, but her heart wasn't the same. The memory of that night lived in her body like a quiet song. She could still feel James's touch, remember the softness in his voice, the way he looked at her like she mattered. But days passed, and he didn't call. No message.
No sign.
She checked her phone constantly. Nothing. At first, she told herself he was just busy. Maybe he had lost her number. Maybe he was waiting for the right moment. But deep down, a small worry grew louder each day. Had it meant nothing to him? Lucy didn't bring him up again. She acted like that night had never happened. She laughed loudly, posted pictures with other guys on social media, and talked about weekend plans. But Mary noticed something odd. Lucy always changed the subject when James's name came close. Then, on a rainy Thursday afternoon, everything changed. Mary was working a slow shift at the cafe, wiping down tables near the front window, when a black luxury car pulled up outside. She froze. Her heart began to pound. The door opened, and he stepped out.
James.
He looked even more polished than before. Wearing a gray suit, coat over his arm, hair perfectly styled. There was something colder in his face now, more distant, more serious. He walked inside, eyes scanning the room. Mary's hands began to shake. He saw her. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he walked to a corner table and sat down without a word. No smile. No wave. Lucy, who was behind the counter, spotted him and stiffened. Her face lost all its color. Before Mary could move, Lucy grabbed her arm and pulled her into the back room. "What's he doing here?" Lucy hissed, her voice low and panicked. Mary blinked. "You know him?" Lucy froze for half a second, then faked a confused smile. "Well, yeah.
From the party.
Same as you." Mary frowned. "You pulled me aside that night. You encouraged me to go with him. Why are you acting nervous now?" Lucy looked away. "I'm not. You're imagining things." But Mary wasn't imagining anything. She stepped out of the back room and walked straight toward James's table. Her heart raced, but she kept her head up. "James?" He looked up at her. His face softened. A hint of the old warmth returned. "Mary, you never called," she said quietly. "I know. And I'm sorry." "You left a note," she said, sitting across from him. "But not your number. You just disappeared." He nodded slowly. "I wasn't sure you'd want to hear from me again." Mary stared at him. "Why would you think that?" He took a deep breath. "Because I found out something later. About the night we met. About Lucy." Mary tilted her head, confused. "What about Lucy?" James hesitated, then pulled his phone from his coat pocket. He tapped the screen and turned it to show her a message thread. She hesitated, but looked. It was Lucy's name at the top. Mary scrolled through the messages, her hands going cold. She's never been touched. She acts sweet, but deep down, she wants it. Use her a little. She always gets what she wants without trying. Let her fall. Just for once. She thinks you're just a nice guy. Let's see how fast that changes. Mary's chest tightened. She looked up at James, eyes wide with shock. She said all this? To you? He nodded. Before I ever spoke to you. She told me you were a challenge. That it would be funny if I got to you first. I didn't know who you were, not really. I thought she was just joking. Playing a game. Mary's face was pale. And you played along? James looked away. At first, yes. But then I talked to you. And you weren't what she said. You were kind, real, you trusted me. You gave me something honest. Mary stood up slowly, her whole body shaking. Why are you telling me this now? She asked, voice breaking. Because I had to, he said softly. I couldn't carry it anymore. You deserve the truth. She stared at him. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then she walked away. Out of the cafe. Past Lucy, who stared with wide eyes. Past the cold wind and honking cars. She didn't stop. She didn't look back. Inside her, something had broken, but something else had started to grow. She was no longer the quiet girl who let people decide her story. She was done being played. She was done being used. And Lucy? Lucy had no idea what was coming next. Mary didn't go home right away. She walked through the city, with her coat wrapped tightly around her. The cold wind didn't bother her. Her mind was louder than the traffic, louder than the noise of the world around her. Everything inside her felt heavy, like her heart had been dropped into cold water. Lucy had betrayed her. Her best friend. Her roommate. The person she trusted most. Lucy had planned it all, used her like a joke, laughed behind her back, fed her to a stranger like it was some kind of game. Except it wasn't a game. Mary had given away her first time. Her heart. Her trust. And James? He may have fallen into the trap, but at least he had come back. At least he had told her the truth. That meant something, didn't it? She walked until her feet hurt. Then she made a decision. She wouldn't live in that apartment another night. She went back only to pack. Quietly. Carefully. Lucy was in the shower when Mary walked in. The sound of running water covered the noise of drawers opening and bags being zipped. Mary didn't leave a note. She left a silence. By nightfall, she had moved into a small rented room across town. A bit more expensive, a bit smaller, but peaceful. She slept alone for the first time in weeks, curled up in a blanket, still thinking about everything. The next morning, a letter arrived. It came in a white envelope with no name on the front, just her address written in careful handwriting. Inside was a folded note on thick, smooth paper. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know the truth. If you ever want to see who I really am, not the man from that night, but the man who hasn't stopped thinking about you, come to this address. James. At the bottom was the address. Carlton Global Headquarters. Mary stared at it for a long time. James Carlton. Now she knew his full name. She had seen the company on the news. Heard people talk about him like a myth. Young, powerful, rich. One of the most private CEOs in the country. That night, he had said nothing about any of it. He could have used her and walked away forever. But he didn't. He came back. The next day, Mary went. She wore a simple dress. Her hair tied back. No makeup. She didn't want to impress anyone. She just wanted answers. The building was tall and shining, with glass doors and security guards. She gave her name at the front desk. They didn't ask questions. Within minutes, a woman in a dark suit led her to a private elevator. The top floor was quiet. The doors opened to a large office with tall windows and golden light. James stood by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city. He turned when he heard her footsteps. You came, he said, his voice low. I did, Mary replied. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then James stepped closer. I've thought of 100 ways to say sorry. None of them seem good enough. Mary folded her arms. You knew what Lucy said. You still went through with it. I did, he admitted. At first, I was curious. I let my pride speak louder than my heart. And later, she asked, when you saw who I really was? He looked into her eyes. I didn't know how to stop. You weren't just a game anymore. You were different. And I ruined it. Mary looked at the polished floor. You could have told me sooner. I was afraid, he said. Afraid you'd hate me. And I deserved that. There was a long silence. Then Mary took a deep breath. You're right.
You didn't deserve me.
James's eyes dropped to the floor. But, she continued, maybe you can earn me. Not with flowers. Not with money. But by being real. No secrets. No lies. Just real. He looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. I can do that. Mary stepped closer. And Lucy. She won't be near you again, he said calmly. She used both of us. I've already blocked her from everything. She won't touch your life anymore. Mary nodded.
Good.
Then she gave a small, quiet smile. So, what now?
James smiled too slowly.
Now, I take you to lunch. And we talk. Not as strangers. Not as tricks. But as two people trying to start over. She looked at him. The man who had broken her heart, and then had the courage to return and admit it. She reached out her hand. Then let's start again, she said. He took it. And this time, it wasn't a game. It was a beginning. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, kindly subscribe to my channel, like, and share this video to your friends and loved ones. You can also comment what you feel about the story under the comment section. Thanks for watching.